So we're back, and as you can see by the title, I'm going to be talking about Fallout again, because Part 1 did just a teeny tiny bit well, and I am now morally obligated to make a follow-up video. I'll be talking about some of the things people commented saying I should have talked about in Part 1. So like last time, let's start with a weapon, and the weapon we're going to be talking about is the weapon that was commented the most out of all other weapons. A certain weapon called the assault rifle. One tiny glaring issue though is that assault rifle is a broad term, but this is what people asked for, so let's do the best I can to create a straight line of evolution by basically ignoring whatever I don't feel like talking about. Starting Fallout 1 and 2 with the AK-112 assault rifle, and what can I say? It's an assault rifle, and part of it's made of wood, and I like that in my guns, but there's just not much to say about it. I find that's a bit of a trend with the older games. Unless it's a real Fallout original, like a specific robot or a mutant or power armor, of course, I really can't complain, but there's just not much for me to praise. But don't worry, classic fans, I've got praises to sing later in the video. Now moving on to Fallout 3, and yes, just Fallout 3 this time because there's a difference, we have the assault rifle, and yeah, it's fine. It's good. It's just as nice as the classic gun, I guess. Kind of boring, though. Now, take a step over to the wild side, and we have the Chinese assault rifle, and now we're cooking with fire. I don't know what it is, and it's not just nostalgia, because I do not care about the other assault rifle in any way, shape, or form, but this one, the Chinese assault rifle, just hits the right spot in some intangible way. And I know I'm not alone. This gun has fans, and honestly, on paper, I shouldn't like it. The white parts of this gun and the stock here on any other gun would just be a major issue for me in terms of thinking it looks cool, but it just works here. Maybe it has something to do with the overall shape, I don't know. The magazine on the Chinese version is cooler looking, I don't know, let's go with that. Now let's take a look at the rifle from Fallout New Vegas, and this just sorta hits the spot as well. Maybe it's just how real it feels. All these guns are pretty real, but this just sort of has a meaty presence to it in-game. Also, just outside of design terms, it's just a pretty good gun in-game. And I feel like not all of the previous guns I've mentioned have the same sort of meaty presence to them, whatever that means. And while in my ideal world, where there's Fallout 3 and New Vegas remasters, and the weapons from 3 get put in New Vegas, and the weapons from New Vegas get put in 3, I really wouldn't mind if this gun and this gun stayed in their respective games. The vibes from both of them feel uniquely attached to each game, but now, let's talk about a vibe that doesn't feel uniquely attached to anything. The gun you've all been on the edge of your seats for me to insult. Here it is, the Fallout 4 assault rifle, and yeah, it's horrible. It makes the Fallout 4 10mm pistol look like the peak of design in comparison. This thing looks like a joke. It's cartoonish and not in a fun way, unlike the Fallout 4 Super Sledgehammer, which in my opinion is another example of Fallout 4 actually having better designs. Rarely, but when they are, they're pretty damn good. But that's besides the point. I guess this is another case of things being embiggened for Fallout 4's big-ass power armor, but this is that at its worst. You can make this damn thing even longer for some depressing Freudian reason. I don't think there's a single person who actually likes this gun. I'm sure somebody, Fallout 4 Assault Rifle Fan 92, will comment how much they love it, but it just... Even if you spend all your time in your power armor, it's still just ugly. It'll be smaller, I guess, looking, but it still looks like it's from BioShock's art style, but done wrong. They would eventually add better looking rifles with DLCs, but still they were a bit underwhelming. Fine, but not, anything crazy, and it was definitely a case of too little too late, because when you say Fallout 4 Assault Rifle, nobody thinks of the handmade rifle from Nuka World, now do they? Though, shout out to Fallout Tactics for keeping it good and simple. Thank you. But now let's take a look at the truest of Fallout staples, the Pip-Boy. So of course, let's start with the original, the beloved Pip-Boy 1.0, truly a fan favorite we have here. It has such a versatile and sleek design. But not really, here comes peak. We have the Pip-Boy 2000 of the classic Fallouts, and this is good. This is really good. Some would say great, and I am one of those some. The look of the 2000 model is just the quintessential Fallout design. I will admit, a large part of my liking is the little mesh bit with the Nixie tubes behind it. It's just so good. Like, what do you want from me? It's so good, it's the entire UI of the game. The 2000 model is like water, I guess, and just takes the shape of whatever container it's in. This honestly could be my favorite design if it wasn't for a few things. For one, I can never really get a hold of how this thing is actually meant to look, like actually how it's supposed to be shaped and what its size is and how you use it. I've seen people depict this as sort of like a large handheld flat computer, like a tablet if it was from 60s Doctor Who or something. I've also seen it depicted as smaller or wrist mounted still. So to this day, I'm still not exactly sure what this thing is supposed to look like. And the other reason, the mascot scares me. I just don't like him. This is like evil Volt Boy. Now let's take a look at another Pip-Boy, and with every passing year of my life, I find myself loving this thing even more. It's the Pip-Boy 3000. I think it's safe to say this is the most iconic look for the Pip-Boy, with it appearing in Fallout 3 in New Vegas and its most important appearance in TF2. There's just something to it. Sure, it doesn't have the cool Nixie tubes anymore, but it makes up for it with just feeling so functional. It's compact, it fits everything you need on it, and it feels so believable. This I could believe some people would wear in the pre-war world and in the post-war world. And I'm here to put my goddamn foot down. I like the glove, it's cool. It makes it feel more like a sci-fi device rather than a big-ass wristwatch, and it's dumb that there's like 50,000 mods to remove it or change it. And lastly, I prefer the 3000's gray finish over the brown of the 2000. Or maybe that's just rust. I don't know. There's definitely rust on it, but I don't know how much of the rust is the color in question. And wow, here's the Pip-Boy 3000 Mark IV, and yeah, of course, it's the worst thing humanity has ever done since the dawn of time. Really like how they looked at the masterpiece of the previous design and said, but what if it was awful, and then went with that? I mean, wow, what an upgrade from metal to plastic. Now, I am sure that canonically it is still metal, but it will never not look like plastic. And oh, it's just brown now. Oh, and massive because the holotape play animation was imperative to be in the game. Oh, and also I guess the plugging in animation too, of course. Had to make sure they knew it was next gen. Just genuinely one of the worst design changes in the entire series. I hated this thing since the moment I saw it, even back when I first played Fallout 4 and would have agreed wholeheartedly with the legendary Mr. Matty's Plays video. I still hated it, and it took forever for there to be a mod to add the previous designs to the game, but now thankfully there is, and Fallout 4 is now salvageable. But moving on to Fallout 76, and we actually have a massive step up, the Pip-Boy 2000 Mark VI. Now this thing is even clunkier and bigger than the previous one from 4, but it's forgivable because the design just looks way better, and it's also canonically an older model. Things that are better about this one, well, for one, it actually looks like metal now. You know you have a problem when your Spirit Halloween version is completely accurate to your in-game version, so a little bit of an improvement. And for two, the Nixie tubes are back. Literally, it's just what an ingenious fucking decision. Also, I just really like the big clunky radio on it. All the other radios have been like embedded within it somewhere. Can't really see them. This one is it's just smack dab right there. I just think that's neat looking. But let's make one thing clear. The best version is, of course, the Pip-Boy 3 billion. It just solos all of them easy, what can I say? But honestly, if there was a Fallout game where I could choose between these different versions, it'd be a hard choice between the 2000 and 3000 model. And I'm kinda leaning towards the 2000 model, as much as I love the 3000. Something about that classic looks calls to me. The Nixie tubes. The Nixie tubes are what calls to me. Now, what's the only thing as quintessentially Fallout as the Pip-Boy? Well, it's a bottle of soda, and of course we're talking about Nuka Cola, everyone's favorite oddly fruity cola soda. And starting with Fallout 1 and 2, we have the classic blue bottled look, and I actually really like this a lot, but it might be a little bit too blue because it's like sort of making the liquid inside appear to be blue even though it's not. I really might be falling for that Bradbertian marketing strategy because the blueness of the bottle really is striking. Gives me the same feeling as Quantum years before Quantum. But besides that, I really like this bottle because I've always had this weird fascination with classic Coke. Like, you don't understand, if I see Coke in a glass bottle, I need to buy it. You just don't get it. This thing sets off little Coke neurons in my brain when I see it. Although, I really don't like that the label also appears to be blue, or maybe there's no label, but there's like clearly text on it, so I don't know. Now, moving on to Fallout Tactics with its yellow Nuka Cola. See, the joke is, it's pee, and you can drink it. Ahaha. Ha 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 ha. But really, ignoring the writer's barely disguised fetish here, honestly, this design weirds me out. Again, ignoring the it's just kind of oddly exaggerated. It's like if an alien tried to replicate a Nuka Cola bottle. I don't know, I don't like it. Now, let's talk about Fallout 3 New Vegas here, and I actually don't like it as much. Now, this one is good too, but weirdly enough, the bottle doesn't look very blue unless it's empty, and overall, it's less curvy than the original. But it was the first in-game item little baby boy Snowy ever wanted to drink, so it gets points there. Whenever I'm playing Fallout 3 New Vegas, I always pick these up. They don't really do much, but like the previous version, it still lights up those Coke brain neurons when I pick it up. But let's be real here, the true showstopper is Nuka Cola Quantum. Yes, it might make your pee glow, and yes, it is highly addictive, but god damn it, I want to drink it. It's been such a standout since Fallout 3 that even in New Vegas, it's possible to get it even though it's rare as hell. Its blue glow has been so alluring that the Fallout games have been trying to recapture that lightning in a bottle ever since. Also, side note, the lighting in Fallout 3 often makes this look more purplish than blue, so that's usually how I remember it, and I know I'm not the only one, because I've seen many artists draw this purple, even today. And yeah, we're back to bashing Fallout 4 yet again. I don't want to do this, but I have to. I'm sorry, Fallout 4 fans, all 47.6 of you, but this is just bad. It does not set off my Coke neurons. No, it does not. I realize that this and the last video are a lot of me bashing Fallout 4's designs, but what else am I supposed to do when they go from this nice, classic design to a glass club you could bludgeon somebody to death with? Ignoring these stupid-ass fins for a second, these bottles are even less blue. These things are downright crystal clear. This was something I hated the moment I saw it, and what's worse is this change is in full force. Bethesda is all about this. This is the thing that makes up like 76.89% of their official Fallout merch. That means we're probably stuck with this weird fat bottle and its terribly designed vending machines for who knows how long. Pip-Boys will change, but this is probably going to stay around for the worse. And I mean, they somehow made Quantum look boring. Maybe it's that the color is too bright now and it never has a chance to ever look Orpal again. I don't know. But also, I cannot abide by these round labels on the normal bottles. This whole design is just the ugliest thing. I don't care that they have a lore reason. Give me my blue bottles back. Now, to cap off this video, I'm going to be comparing something many people probably haven't even thought about. Something that's been in like every Fallout game, but you haven't even made the connection that it really is. The Alien Blasters. Often one of the best guns in the game, the Alien Blaster remains kind of a constant and just goes to show you that Fallout has always been goofy as hell. Starting off with the classic Alien Blaster, I'm kind of torn, because on one hand, I kind of like how cartoony it is, and on the other, it's yellow, and on the other hand, I feel like if I actually picked it up, it would like graft itself to the skin on my hand or something. There's just something vaguely biological looking about it, and I don't know if that makes me like it more or makes me like it less. Now, quickly moving on to Fallout 3 New Vegas here, so I can hit you across the face with the shocker here. You did not see this coming. This is the revelation of the century. I actually don't like this version all that much, and this is coming from a Mothership Zeta fanatic. In fact, it wasn't until writing this that I even knew that the special variant, the Captain's sidearm, looked slightly different. Now, I don't hate it. I still do like it, but it's always been a bit top-heavy for me and a bit too plain-looking for me. Also, it's kind of cartoony in a bad way. Now, I just said I like cartoony and I like Fallout goofy, but it's kind of like Euclid's Sea Finder if the joke wasn't that it was supposed to look like a toy, if you get what I mean. I usually just get the special variant and then throw it into a box and never really touch it again. Now, don't get me wrong, it looks a lot better than something like the Alien Atomizer, which looks more like a power tool than a weapon. Why would I use any of these when I could just use the Alien Disintegrator, which is my favorite weapon in Fallout 3 and is also just the best weapon ever made? But also, again, it wasn't until researching this that I found out that they added the Alien Disintegrator and company to Fallout 4 with the Creation Club, and I mean, it looks pretty good, but I don't know about that color scheme. No. But speaking of Fallout 4, let's talk about Fallout 4's blaster, and actually, it's the best one in the series. I know, I didn't think I'd be saying that either, but here I am. What a character arc we've had, huh? Now, for one, the blaster is done through a really cool-ass sequence that continues the crashed alien ship thing that started in Fallout 1, but also, it just looks the best out of all of them. Not when you find it, though. When you find it, it's the alien equivalent of a snub nose, so, you know, extremely sad and boring looking, but once you extend the barrel, it's just perfect. I don't like its scope though, I would never attach that, ignore the scope. Its whole whoosh design is just great, and I think the color palette I just set it in like on the disintegrator really works here, and it's just right. It's not too plain, but it's not too overly designed. But in a better world, I would end this part off with saying the Star Trek phaser, but they didn't actually end up putting that in Fallout 2 like they should have. And with Star Trek fans' dreams crushed as per usual, we are done here with Fallout design topics. Thank God. You should follow my social medias where I post my art, and if you start fighting in the comments, I will yell at you. Goodbye. I'm done.